How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to Anime Bar Lounge. We're talking about some seasonal summer anime today. Our first impressions.
Oh boy.
So we watched the following shows. I wrote the short versions of them. So it's Summertime,
Summertime Rendering, Tokyo Mew Mew New,
Licorice,
Licorice Recoil,
Ruby,
Ruby Ice Queendom,
Biscuit,
Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer.
Yakuza,
I don't actually know the name
Yakuza
of that one.
Babysitter,
Something like that, yeah.
Shadow the Hedgehog,
Shadow's House.
Call of the Haunted.
Call of the Night.
That's what we watched.
Yeah!
Alright, so Summertime Rendering started last season, so it's technically like a spring leading into summer anime, but this is the season I picked it up. I've only seen the first 3 episodes, which is what we're going to be discussing. Corey's seen way more than 3
I have
episodes.
seen 14 of them to date.
But this was originally not on my radar. A friend from Discord recommended me this one, and so I picked it up, and I'm glad I did, because so far, I really like it.
As do I. I watched the first 2 and I dropped off at first when it aired last season. And I don't know, I just decided, you know what, screw it, I need to pad out my anime. So I ended up watching 12 episodes in one sitting after that.
At first, I didn't think I'd like time loop anime so much, but I found out a long time ago after watching Steins Gate ReZero and, oh look at that, Tokyo Revengers. I really do like time loop anime, so like, from the synopsis, I thought I was gonna get like an Anohana, but like, this is a time loop anime, so it's almost like a murder mystery ReZero.
Mm-hmm.
And
There's
so
a lot of
far,
horror elements to it, even in the first 3 episodes as well.
it's really good. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be... I was expecting it to be good from the start. It really made a good first impression, but I wasn't sure how good it was going to be. This might be the best anime, calling it now. But we'll have to wait and see. And there is some bias there, because it is hitting a lot of
I mean,
things
you're
now.
looking at the guy who has the most bias this season.
Yeah.
So, but I really like the characters, and I especially like Shinpei, which is kind of already... It's a flip the script moment for me, because especially with the thing that I keep comparing it to with ReZero, I didn't like Subaru. That's a entire tale for another day, but I liked Shinpei from the start, and I like that he's very proactive, even in those first 3 episodes.
This might hurt you since since you won't be able to talk too much about it, since I am trying to dodge spoilers. But I liked how one of his eyes was animated differently, like it's differently colored, and then like they actually bring it up, and I'm like, it's relevant.
Yeah,
and it was
it's already relevant.
It was bothering me. I'm like, why? Because like they do this sometimes in anime where they like, just slightly color one eye than the other, and I'm like, why are they doing that? Like, it looks cool, but
I don't even think he actually has that in the first episode anyways. But it's been a while.
I don't know when he had it, but I remember looking at it one moment.
If I'm recalling correctly, it doesn't happen at the start, but it just happens subtly, and then they bring it up, and they're like, "Oh shit!"
When they brought it up, I was excited because I'm like, I noticed.
Pog.
Yeah, Pog.
I'm pogging.
Oh, I'm pogging. Yeah, I really like the character so far. It feels character-driven, and the mystery aspect of it kind of reinforces it, where, like, we keep replacing people with shadows, and I like these characters, at least on a surface level, so it's rough because I know someone's probably in a whodunit situation. One of these bitches is a bitch, and I don't know who it is.
One thing, I remember this from when I watched it last season, there's some, like, glitch effects throughout the first episode and some of like the first episodes. Yeah. I literally thought my what I was watching it on was screwing up because of the glitch effects. Oh, they did that so well, and that accompanies it with the sound design as well.
I was worried too, because it's been a fucking blazer where we've been, so like there was that thought, like it's been
oh no, is my PC corrupting?
It's like over 90 degrees, like where we are, like for the past few days. So like my brain was literally like, oh no.
Yeah, they do it so well it actually scares you.
Summertime really is rendering.
Oh no. They're straight up pulling the Metal Gear Solid Psycho Mantis shit on you in real life.
Calling it a bit early, like, and we're starting strong here. If I were to give it to any of these that I think will be the best by the time we're done, I'm giving it to this.
And it's saying something, especially that you're saying that watching 3 episodes when 15 are out, and I've seen 14, and I also agree.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely. What we have next here?
Next up is Tokyo, so this is all you.
So this is Tokyo Mew Mew New, which is a new version of a magical girl anime that came out in the early 2000s.
I hate magical girls.
You're a fucking liar. Don't fucking lie to
This
me.
is the one we're talking
It's Mars right there. You're a fucking liar.
about. This is a thief, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's just a pretty standard magical girl series. It's got cool... Like, the reason you go to a magical girl show is usually because you just want to see the fucking transformation sequences and the action. That's about all this has going for it. Aside from having a really, really weird reason that they turn into magical girls. They were injected with the DNA of endangered animals.
That's not magical girls. This is magical girls meets Power Rangers.
It pretty much is.
Oh, man.
It's really cute. That's kind of all there is to it. It's, like I said, it's a traditional magical girl show in the year 2022. Like, if you transplanted this into the early 2000s, people would not bat an eye. Which
Nice.
I guess makes sense considering it's from that era, but I had a lot of fun with it. Also, they're named after foods, and it's hilarious.
I do like
There's
foods.
a girl named Lettuce.
Lettuce leaf.
Yeah, it's a very standard anime, but I find it really cute, and it's just the perfect, like, turn your brain off type of anime that you can put on in the background. Be like, yep,
Turning my brain.
that's an anime right there.
If I do say so myself.
That's about the most standard anime you could show me.
Gotta get my names ready since I always forget them.
Makes
Do you have
sense.
anything else to say on yours?
Not really. It's just a cute little show.
Alright. Now let's get into some discourse, because I've watched 3 episodes of this and you've watched 1.
Which one is it?
Licorice.
Oh, Licorice Recoil, yeah.
Recoil.
I thought we were on Ruby already.
No, we're on Licorice Recoil. So, I watched the first 3 episodes, and after the first episode, this was a gradual build-up. After the first episode, I'm like, it seems okay, but I'm not big on it. After
This is one of the biggest shows this season, too.
Yeah, after the second, I'm like, okay, I like it a little more. It's kind of doing some cool things. And then by episode 3, I'm not going to say I'm sold on it, but I'm very intrigued, and if it keeps doing this build-up, episode 3 had a lot of emotional payoff. It recontextualized some things. It did a lot of character growth, and it has me very excited. If it crescendos like it's doing right now, it'll be a big favorite of mine. It'll be in the running for favorite. I don't know if it'll beat Summertime. If we're going off like a trajectory type logic, I think Summertime by sheer volume will surpass it because it has more content, and I like what it's doing more so far. But Licorice could be really good, but it also could be one of those shows where it's kind of like a lot of shows that do like the, you know, like shooter, good guy versus bad guy, moral dilemma shit, where it can like become too big for its britches and like one up its plot so high. Like, I mean, almost like a Gurren Lagann thing where like maybe you enjoy it because of how over the top it is, but on some level you're also like, this is also too much. So
Yeah, I getcha.
you can only rate it so high because of how absurd it is.
Mhm.
But no, episode 3 was really fucking fantastic. It's starting to be more character driven. I do really like the characters. Chisato is by far probably my favorite female character this season.
Wow.
I think she's cute and adorable. I like her. I like her personality.
I think what I am going to have to do for this is I'm going to wait until this hits 10 episodes, and then I'm going to ask for your opinion on it again.
Okay.
And then when it hits that point, I'll say, okay, is the reason that I didn't want to pursue this after 1 episode complete bullshit, and should I watch it? Because after 1 episode, I didn't want to watch it anymore because I have such a hard stance against child soldier stuff being used for just comedy. Obviously, already you're basically telling me it's not just comedy, but I need more than that, so I need to know that this is going somewhere. Because right now, I'm not interested.
I also like the black guy. His name's Mika. I don't know how to say that in a way that might not be taken the best
It's
way.
an anime.
Like,
I mean, like,
yeah,
it's not like you're gonna be thinking someone. Nobody's gonna think you picked the wrong black guy.
yeah. But I really like him. He has like a good like he's good comedy. Like I mean I know you said like every show has to have a little comedy, right? Like I mean,
of course.
I don't think of the show as a comedy. In fact, I feel like it just has these lighthearted comedic moments to help tone it down because I feel like without it would just be way too edgy. Like honestly,
I think a lot of shows end up just hitting at the wrong time for certain things, because another reason I wasn't into it was because it took that idea of the more cheery worker getting paired with somebody who's more serious. I've seen that done a lot recently, and I just wasn't vibing with it. So it's just a lot of stuff that like it's not hitting for me right now. This could be something that hit for me, you know, next season or something, but right now it wasn't.
Well, I really do like the vibe of the cafe they have. Like at first I didn't understand it because like it almost feels out of place. Like you have these child soldiers that are mostly female, and then like just randomly after like
it's the gunslinger girl archetype. Yeah,
I did not like Gunslinger Girl, and this seems like a way better similar idea, better execution basically.
I didn't even know you'd seen it. I know that's like the archetype of that type of like show.
And then there's also the girl that drank beer, and I don't remember her name, but I mean, my channel's literally called Anime Bar Lounge. You think I'm not gonna like that character?
She drank beer. That gives her a plus in my mind.
She's meeting all my standards.
She isn't the only beer drinker this season.
Foreshadowing. But yeah, I really like it so far. If Summertime ends up being the best, this will be it's currently tied for number 2. We'll get back to that later.
Is that all you got for that one?
That's all I got for
So
Licorice.
we go from magical girls to gun girls to magical girl, gun, girl, guns.
Go on.
It's Ruby time!
Oh no!
Oh god, no!
So, there's a Ruby anime made by Shaft this season.
There sure is,
We
buddy.
both have a history of watching
We both
Ruby.
watched Ruby. I don't actually know how much of us, each of us watched of the original series.
By memory, I stopped after volume 5, and I might have watched some of 6, but I don't remember it.
I believe we both stopped around the
And I
same
actually liked volume 5, but it was also a very mixed bag moment for me.
There's just...
The further I got past volume 3 when Monty passed away, the more I just didn't feel like I was vibing with the series properly.
That's understandable.
Like,
I think, like I said before, you're definitely not alone there.
yeah, I really feel like it was Monty's passion project, and I feel like something was lost. So while I really love the series, I didn't feel great continuing it, knowing that, like, it's not like they're doing him a disservice. They're still putting work and effort into it, but I don't feel like it's being realized as what it was originally meant to be.
The general sentiment does seem to have shifted that way as it's gone on longer. But this is an anime that has an original story. You wouldn't know that by only watching 3 episodes for the most part.
Yeah.
But, because those first 3 episodes are mostly recap of the first 2 volumes. And it's a case of us really having a hard time understanding who this is for.
Yeah, so my recommendation here is these episodes are recapped a little weird, and some things are tweaked slightly. Like, some character quirks are either accentuated or watered down. Weiss is accentuated. She's a bit more of an Ice Queen bitch, which is definitely her character.
And it's definitely the purpose of this series, since it's focusing around Weiss.
Feels like they're making her more harsh early on so that they can hopefully redeem her a little bit more later on. But it makes her much less likable, in my opinion. And I mean, you were always more of the Weiss fan than I was. I didn't like her early on to begin with, but this made her from, like, slightly likable.
I was a sucker for a tsundere, so Weiss really hit for me, and she hit more for me as it went on. So by all rights, I probably should be liking this, and I don't. It's animated gorgeously, the fight scenes look great, and the voice acting is good. The Japanese voice acting, as the English dub, is not out yet. But that's kind of where it ended for me. I'm probably still going to finish this because there's just too much discourse potential for this one.
Yeah.
But
I don't think I have a strong opinion, having only seen 3 episodes. You've seen one more than me.
I have seen 4, yes.
So I think we'll have more to say, for good or for better or for worse, by the time we're doing our wrap-up.
Of course, yeah. Because like you literally have only seen a very small portion of any new content. I've seen where it's going, and I'm not huge on it.
So my recommendation, even not seeing what you've seen, is I feel like if you have seen RWBY, you're already watching this or not watching it. You've probably already made your decision. If you haven't seen RWBY and you're looking for a should I watch this, should I not, my recommendation to you would be to actually just go watch the original first. See if you even like what the original does. You don't necessarily have to watch the full thing, but I would say at least watch the first 2 or 3 volumes. See if you like what the series is doing, and then if you want to watch the anime, come back and watch the anime.
See, the thing that does become an issue with that is that the biggest attractor for this series is the animation.
Yeah.
Because so many people don't watch RWBY because of the animation. I honestly think you could watch a recap video on YouTube and get more out of it than what those first 2 episodes did. Yeah, it's not going to help you entirely, but if you are like dead set, I don't want to watch that animation, it might be your best option.
Yeah, here's my hot take though. Ready? I love Shaft. Shaft is knocking it out of the park. This is some great animation. I prefer the original.
I kind of do too. There's bits I love more, don't get me wrong, but there's some pretty clear issues where like you can see where the animation's getting its budget.
Yeah.
Especially in just the scenes where they're just talking to each other. It can sometimes look like a Dragon Ball Super excerpt. But I think overall the scenes that matter get animated pretty well.
The 3D animation of RWBY is a little wonky, but there's something charming about it, even early on, where it's very rough around the edges. But I really liked it. It was very iconic, in my opinion, when it first came out, and it really pioneered like a lot of I feel like a lot of the reasons.
I don't think we would have gotten stuff like Land of the Lustrous if we didn't get stuff. I think
RWBY, along with some other, like obviously Red vs. Blue, is why Rooster Teeth is on some level a household name. They're not like super talked about, but they're at least on a lot of people's radar, and I feel like RWBY does a lot of the heavy lifting for that. And even whether you like it or not, I feel like that there's a reason like that animation was so it was diversive, right? Like I mean, there were a lot of people that either loved it or hated.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I would say I loved it. I thought it was endearing. It wasn't like
I personally like it. I just know that like you said, it is that diverse.
It's very rough when you first see it. Like,
it definitely is, absolutely.
I feel like I remember when I first saw it, I feel like part of me was like, "Whoa, this looks bad. What is that?"
Of course.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste.
It's definitely an acquired taste, yeah.
But I'm part of me's at least happy to be watching it. RWBY has very great.
It's gonna be one of those shows like at the end of the season, it could literally be the worst show, and I probably still would have some ounce of happiness that I even watched it.
It's nostalgic. Honestly.
It is absolutely a nostalgic show.
Both of us, when I feel like a lot of people can relate to this. A lot of people didn't just watch RWBY. You lived RWBY. You had that fan phase with it. I know I had a fan phase. I was collecting merch. I had
figures.
Up.
I had autographs. I literally got you an autograph at a convention that you didn't go to because I could have done that. We were into it hard.
So even though we're not as big into it, it was a treat to get a little taste of that nostalgia.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where I have plenty of criticisms, but I still admire the fact that it exists.
Yeah. Moving onward, time to talk about some biscuits.
Oh, Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. So I found a random volume of this manga just at a local store, and I ended up getting really, really into this series. And I was like, why did I pick this up? I feel like there's a reason I picked this up. Oh, there's an anime coming. There's an anime coming this year, and this is an author who's had a bunch of manga come out that are really well loved, and he's just never gotten any anime adaptation. This is the first time he's actually gotten an anime version of any of his manga. This anime is getting slammed on my anime list right now. It's like it's a mid-6 right now for some reason. And I believe it's because of the animation, but it's like, my guy, we have so much high quality animation coming out that this is just a standard animated series. Like, it doesn't look that bad. You guys are kind of overreacting. But the general idea of this,
typical 2000s anime.
It's pretty much like a typical mid-2000s anime. Yeah, it's not that bad. But the idea of the story is that one day this college student wakes up with a lizard on him. This lizard tells him that he is a royal knight and he must join the quest to save the world. He throws him out the window immediately. He goes about his day, and this lizard keeps following him around, and he's like trying to get him to join the quest to save the world. But he only finally does it when his neighbor girl saves him from a golem that is attacking him, and he swears loyalty to her. And it's just like these 3 episodes are just the setup for this. But the series is like jam-packed. They try to, you could say it's rushing, but it's doing a lot with what it has. Like, within 1 volume, they talked up so much stuff. It's kind of a basic concept, like, but the execution is what really makes it work. Because the idea here is that the Lucifer in the title's name is a girl named Asahina Samidare, who he meets, and she's just like the strongest. She's called the queen by, like, or she's called the princess or something like that by everybody around her. But at the end of the first episode, she says that she's going to save the world so she can destroy it herself. And that's just like the general idea, is that he joins up with her because, I don't know, he feels loyalty to her. So he's going to help her in this quest to destroy the world.
Do you think part of the reason it might be hated is because, like, some people, like, instead of just enjoying the show for the ride, get so hung up on the, like, hypocritical nature of that plot point?
I think it's more because it's kind of a basic story.
I see.
But like I said, it's more so the execution that really kills it on this show. It also has... It's hard to talk about it because I'm somebody who's read the manga. So, like, I know it's coming. It hasn't happened yet. I don't want to spoil. So, it's like... There's so much great character interaction that's going to be coming. And I'm, like, really excited for what's going to come from this. Yeah, the animation's a little rudimentary. Yes, the story's a little basic. But once it gets going, I'm thinking this is going to get more loved because of just how good it does things. At least that's my hope.
Well, if this one doesn't succeed, at least maybe we can look forward to Beelzebub and the cornbread axe.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good idea.
But, yeah, I'm probably going to skip out on this one, but when we do the wrap-up, depending on what you have to say on it, I might be sold, or I might...
It also doesn't have its episode count listed yet, so we don't know if this is going to finish this season or next. I'm hoping it's a 2-core one because
I see. There's
it's only 65 chapters. This is all of it. Like, it's not long. They could easily finish it in like 24 or a little more episodes. So, like I said, it's jam-packed. There's a lot going on in every chapter, especially once it gets going. So, first impressions are hard for something that I've seen way more of than the animes.
I know what's happening.
I know what's happening.
I read the manga.
Yeah.
Right, well, I watched Yakuza Babysitter, which is a story about a Yakuza member where his boss is like, yo, I need you to watch my fucking kid. So it's a Yakuza that babysits.
So is this more propaganda from Japan to make weebs have children?
Yes!
Woo! Let's go!
Or more accurately, it's propaganda for weebs to adopt other people's kids.
Yeah, well, we're not getting any anyways.
But, no, this show's very wholesome. If you like Way of the House Husband or Spy Family, this is almost like an amalgamation of the two. So you have a Yakuza member who's, like, very violent and has, like, a rough history where he's raising a cute little grill. And, honestly, the first episode alone, like, sold me on the premise, but the second episode took what the first episode did and then magnified it a little bit. And I definitely teared up a little bit because the girl... mother is in a coma, and like most little children, they don't quite piece together what's happening. So she's actually like mad at her mother for not waking up and spending time with the family. And
see, when you were talking to me about this earlier, you compare it to Spy Family. This sounds a lot more serious than Spy Family.
Yeah, okay. It gets pretty, like, emotional.
Oh, like, my guy, the most serious thing in Spy Family is her failing her test.
I mean, Spy Family gets serious like later on.
True,
I think,
true,
like, I don't know. Like, I guess this is episode 2.
I was like, my guy.
Yeah, no,
it feels a little more.
it's heavier. I wasn't expecting it to be heavier because I was actually expecting after episode 1, I was like, oh, this is gonna be really slice of life. This is gonna be very episodic, and then episode 2 like builds on episode 1, and I'm like tearing up, and I'm like,
love to see it.
This hurts. Yeah, it hurts good.
My emotions
but it hurts.
and feelings.
But yeah, so it's like she's like watching her mom be in a coma, and she's like not feeling great about it. And the Yakuza, I have his name, Kirishima, helps her through it and explains it in a way where it's not like talking down to her, but like it is like dumbing it down in a way that a child can understand. And,
a good guy Yakuza trope. You love to see it.
Yeah, it's not just the good guy Yakuza trope. Like, it's that accentuated because
even if it was, I'd probably still be interested because I fucking love that trope.
Well, here's what it is. It's that, but like magnified, right? Like, I mean, like, you know, like you have your level 1 mafia, like mafia city joke. But like, anyway, so he's doing all these nice things to her between episode 1 and 2. Like, he's going to her parent-teacher conference because her dad's busy. He's taking her to the fireworks. He's getting stuffed animals for her. And, like, he sees himself as this demon because he kind of is. He's very ruthless. He works for the fucking Yakuza. But, like, the girl sees him as, like, this great guy. So, like, there's this disconnect where, like, she's like, oh, you're such a great guy. And she's like, people must call you nice all the time. And he's like, no, not usually. And then she's like, what do they usually call you? Well, they usually call me the demon. And she's like, stop joking around. Stop messing with me. So it's this really great, like, thing where, like, you see that he is a softie, or he's becoming a softie, but he hasn't quite registered it yet because he's used to being ruthless and evil. And so, like, this girl's sort of starting to warm his ice heart, and, like, seeing the development from both sides. You know, you have, you know, like, I like the give and take mutual character growth that's happening, is that the Yakuza is helping the girl grow and, you know, helping to he's not just making her closer to him while taking her away from her family. It's like he and her are both becoming integrated stronger within their already existing family. So he's helping her learn how to deal with her mom's coma, how to
That's good stuff.
Be a dad when her dad isn't there. Like, yeah, this series is very wholesome. It touches on a lot of topics, and honestly, I'm just really excited to see it hopefully keep doing what it's doing. Like, this season
I like stuff like... I mean, I watched Hinamatsuri a long time ago, which was definitely a more out there concept, but similar, where it was a Yakuza adopting a child. Of course, this child was a telekinetic alien, but regardless, same idea. This sounds more grounded, though, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'll probably give it at least a look. So I
it's
have
worth
something
a look
to say.
at the very least, absolutely.
Yeah.
Shadow's House.
So I'm watching the second season of Shadow's House. I watched season 1 before this, but I didn't watch it when it was airing. It's essentially about a mansion-like, kind of campus-y. I'm not really sure what to call it because it's got wings and stuff, so it's like a mansion-type place where these shadow beings live that are fully, like, blacked out people that emit soot from their heads and stuff like that. They're basically, like, living soot sprite humans. And they have servants that are called living dolls. This focuses around 2 characters named Emiliko, who is the living doll, and Kate, who is her master. That is one of the soot sprite shadow humans. It's sort of kind of similar to Promised Neverland in a lot of ways. That's usually the thing that gets compared to a lot because it's about kids. And
back when it was good, or?
I guess back when it was good. I mean, it's generally... yeah, it's definitely trying to compare itself to season 1.
Okay.
And I think it's carried that momentum a lot better into its second season than Neverland did. Because there's just a lot of there's a lot of mysteries about the Shadow's House. Why they're there, what's going on, why they've been conscripted to work for them, just the inner workings of the Shadow's House itself. It's hard to really talk about season 2, because the thing with season 1 was that it ended anime original.
Oh, okay. So it really is kind of like Promise Neverland.
It is, but they are now going into season 2 trying to go
Course
back
correct?
and course correct because they didn't think they would get a season 2.
Oh, I see.
But now that they did, they are course correcting and they've reintroduced some of the aspects that they omitted from the first season. I really, really liked the first season enough to go into the manga as well. I'm not anywhere near as into the manga as I am with the other things that I watched this season. But so far, I'm really enjoying season 2 just as much as I did with season 1. The characters are all friggin' adorable. But it's one of those types of shows where like the tone can go from really cutesy to holy shit tragic in like a couple minutes.
I do like that. I'm a sucker. I'm a massive
it's a really fun series. I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
Cool. Good old Shadow's house.
Victorian mansions.
In the middle of the street. Hal's moving house.
Yeah.
Alright. So ending strong with Call of the Night.
I feel like I should be shifting this to you because...
Okay, yeah.
I've read up to date with the manga. It's not just, like... It's not just a manga I like. It's... Like, there's One Piece, then there's Dan to Dan, and then there's Call of the Night. Those are my favorite running manga right now. It's in there.
Dan. Yeah, so I watched this for the first time literally just a few hours ago, right before we started filming. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't even really... I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even read the synopsis. I just like, my friend...
Did you even know she was a vampire?
No.
Oh my god.
I was like, I was just like, I'm like, you seem so passionate about this. I don't care what the synopsis is. I will give it. I had thought to check it before heading over, but I'm like, you know what? Whatever it is,
blind time.
It is what it is. Sometimes it's just nice to go in not knowing what to expect. Like, I had seen the art, I had seen the characters, and I had seen, I compared her to Toga, so I had, like, an inkling, like, something was up.
Which is fair, I think a lot of people are doing that.
I think I definitely had the suspicion she was a vampire before she revealed she was a vampire. I mean, for God's sake, like, she goes in to bite him. I'm like, either this is a really kinky bitch, or she's a vampire, or both. Yeah. It ended up being both. But, it's funny because she's very flustered at romance. But
she very much is.
Getting ahead of myself there. I have a lot to say. I just don't know where to start. But I feel like the character is relatable. The main character is relatable.
So Yamori is a dropout. Essentially, he's a dropout.
Yeah.
It's more like he's just not going to school. He hasn't officially dropped out, but he goes out at night because he just doesn't have anything better to do. He's not motivated enough to go to school. He can't sleep, so he's like, screw it. I'm gonna go out and walk at night because I got nothing going on in my life.
And I mean, I wasn't a dropout or anything, but I at least relate to the sort of idea of,
losing all motivation.
Yeah, you lose motivation. You stay up late. You want like post bedtime procrastination, revenge, or whatever it's called. It's kind of like that. What this is. So you just start going out doing things at night and staying up later than you should, and it tends to create a perpetual cycle. But thankfully, we're not really hyper focusing on that. I mean, that's an idea that could work, but that's not what the show's really about.
It's Call of the Night has a lot of themes.
Yeah.
That's more so what it's going for than anything else. But I mean, any vampire story is always going to be laced with that because the very idea of a vampire, it ties into stuff like addiction. It ties into stuff like sex. That's just how vampires are, man. They're a walking metaphor.
Yeah.
So
I mean, literally, like Dracula, right? It was made in older times, and literally, Dracula was sort of this metaphor for a big, strong man. You've read Dracula, or if you haven't, you know enough to know what vampires are about. There's a lot of allegories that can be drawn from them, and who doesn't like vampires?
Yep.
If you don't like vampires, I'm a sucker for vampires. Okay? I don't care if that makes me trash. I don't care if that makes me basic. I think it makes
vampires are cool, man.
Yeah,
I like vampires a lot. Obviously, I wouldn't be talking about Call of the Night unless I really liked vampires.
But, I don't want to I'm gonna compare it to this. I don't want to give the impression that they're the same show, but I got hints that I'm I can at least compare and contrast these a little. The Monogatari series.
I think there's something to be said for that too, for sure.
And not just because they both have a vampire girl. That's fair. Partially because they both have a baby, but not entirely.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I definitely can understand that for sure. Through him going out, obviously he meets Nazuna, who is the titular vampire, and she sucks his blood after bringing him in.
After having a night of hanging around and showing him what the night,
making him appreciate the night more.
Yeah.
These first 3 episodes are just more of the slice of life and setup stuff, which is what I'm kind of assuming this entire season's going to be. I'm not getting into manga spoilers, I will not, but the series does ramp up into drama. I don't foresee it hitting that. It might start introducing some of it, but it takes a while to get there.
I need to say something though, I need to cut in there. Like, I never read the manga, so I don't know what the manga looks like, but I just need to say from an anime perspective, hot damn, the colors here are beautiful. It really shows off the beauty, at least from like a fantasy perspective of the nightlife. There's like these
it's like somebody took a vaporwave.
There's these subtle hues of purple. Purple is used constantly. The purple looks so damn good in the nightlife.
There's some moments that literally feel like a music video.
It's not always just the purple. Like sometimes there's like orange or like I don't know how to describe it, but like the color composition of this fucking anime is phenomenal. It's some of the best color composition I've seen, and it really, really does help fantasize.
It looks gorgeous. Like, you could take any moment of that and make it like a wallpaper. Like, it looks that good.
Yeah, I really do like the Vampire Girl so far. I like her aesthetic. I mean, I like Toga from My Hero, even though I don't really watch that or read that. I don't keep up with that anymore.
Yeah,
so
do I.
I'm trash. I'm outing myself. It is what it is. I like the Vampire Girl.
Yeah. I mean, fair. I mean...
I like to pretend
it's like I have things to say, but
I like to pretend I don't like promiscuous women, but at the end of the day...
She's barely promiscuous. Like, she does not... She'll joke about sex, but the moment you try and initiate anything, she's gonna be like...
No, she's super sexual, but the second you're, like, romantic, she's like...
No!
Yeah. But no, I get what you're saying.
I love the soundtrack, too. It's essentially just like somebody took a lo-fi chill beats to Vibe and Study to and put it in there.
That must have been why YouTube took it down. They're like, we need this for a moment.
Right.
Alright, well, that's all the shows we watched, and, I meant to mention this, but, if you thought, Yakuza Babysitter was the show I was alluding to as the second best, that's not what it is. It's definitely Call. Call is tied with Licorice for, the show that I'm
really happy.
They're going back and forth. Yeah. Like, Licorice is more setup so far, but Call has, from an aesthetic and, like, me being a sucker for vampires and just knowing, like, it's set up to be a longer series anyway, so I'm not surprised that, like, if we're going off of, like, where they are in terms of building conflict, Licorice is further from episode 1, but like... I
think one thing that might end up being a criticism from people for Call of the Night is that it will feel like it's rushing the romance, but these two bitches, they don't know shit about romance. Neither of them do. So they are rushing it because they don't know what they're doing.
Well, that can be really nice. Yeah. Sure. I also am curious, like, I don't care because it's fiction, but I'm also curious if this might be like a Twitter hot debate. Is obviously the vampire girl drinks beer, which implies she's a lot older than this middle schooler.
She's definitely older, but, in what sense, right? Like, vampires are vampires. If she got bitten when she was young, then she's just always been around that age. But, yeah, I don't think there's any debate about it right now, but I haven't seen anything.
Fair enough. But, yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say on it. Pretty excited to watch more of it. I'm pretty excited to watch a lot of these, honestly.
It's a pretty good season so far.
Yeah, when we started the season, like, it's funny because a lot of seasons are like this. Like, last season was stacked because a lot of them had strong first impressions, either because they were continuations of things I knew I was gonna like, or they were adaptations of things I knew I was getting into, or their synopsis was like, damn, this sounds really good.
Yeah, for sure.
This season started off sounding like, for me, I don't know if this season's going to be that strong. But, like, honestly, the weakest link here is Ruby, and at least that has enough nostalgia where that's going to carry it. And honestly, I'm fine with it. Even if it peters out, it is what it is. I'll at least enjoy the ride in a different sense, even if it's bad.
Yeah.
So I hope either it redeems itself or it's just so bad it's good.
And this is just a big season of stuff that I have prior knowledge with, too, for me. So it's
honestly,
just like,
a lot of these shows, other than Ruby, have so much emotional resonance so far that this might be a fucking tearjerker of a season. I have a feeling I might cry like a fucking bitch all summer
We'll just have to put a cry counter up.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all we have to say about the anime for this season. So that was our first impressions. Go watch some motherfucking anime. Highly recommend the shows we talked about.
So far.
And we'll be back at the end of the season to tell you what was actually worth watching and what you should have dropped this whole time. Thanks for watching Anime Bar Lounge YouTube. Take it easy.